Lighting an RV oven is easy, but how you do it actually depends on which type of oven you have. Some ovens have built-in igniters, and some have to be lit manually with a lighter. So today I'm going to show you how to identify and light both types. But for now, let's get into the steps that will apply to all ovens. First things first, make sure your tanks have propane in them and your valves are open. So this next step is not something that you have to do. It's just a little trick that some folks use to know that you have propane at the oven. Just pick one of your stovetop burner dials, turn it to the light position, and light the burner with your igniter dial. Now there are some push button igniters out there, but most of us will have a dial igniter. Once the burner lights, you know you have propane at the appliance. Again, this is not something you need to do, but for now, just turn the burner off. Now, before we light the oven, it's important to understand your stovetop burners consist of one flame. The flame that you light with your crank igniter is the same flame that you use to cook your food. With an oven, there's actually two flames. The first one is called your pilot light. This is a small flame that continuously burns. It is not the flame that cooks your food. Its only purpose is to light the burner flame, which will cook your food. I think most of us know what a pilot light is, but I feel it's worth mentioning for those who don't. Either way, you have to light the pilot light first. Okay, now we're at the point where you need to identify if your oven has an igniter or not. I'll show you what to look for and how to light each one. Look inside your oven at the bottom and you will see one of these two bracket assemblies towards the back. The one on the left has two metal prongs. There is no igniter on this style of oven. The one on the right has three prongs, which does have an igniter. While one of these prongs may be hard to see, it's easy to identify by this long 90-degree conductor. This is your igniter. Now that you've identified which type of oven you have, let's cover manual lighting first. But before we do that, you're gonna need to pick up one of these long stem lighters. Inside the oven, you will see these two metal prongs. This one is your pilot assembly, and this one is your thermocouple, which we'll talk about in a second. The last dial we haven't touched yet is your oven temperature dial. To manually light an oven, you will first open the oven door, turn the oven dial to pilot, and just as it reads, push the button and hold it in. Hold the flame underneath the pilot assembly, and with the dial button still pressed, it should light pretty quickly. You shouldn't have to wait more than a couple seconds for this to light because remember earlier we lit the stovetop to make sure there was propane at the appliance. Now you want to let this pilot light burn for a couple seconds before you turn the dial to adjust your cooking temperature. The thermocouple above the pilot assembly is essentially a sensor and it needs to detect heat. Once it detects heat, it will send a signal to the gas valve, which will open and allow propane to go into the burner. So just give it a couple seconds and you should be able to adjust your dial to your desired cooking temperature. Now once you're done cooking, you can turn the dial back to the pilot setting and this will turn off the burner but leave the pilot light lit. However, I'm betting that most people are just turning off the pilot light and relighting the oven the next time they want to cook, which is what we do as well. Okay, on to lighting an oven. Let's try that again. Okay, let's move on to lighting an oven that has an igniter inside. Many of the Furrion ovens in RVs today and or ovens with light up dials will have an oven igniter. This type of oven also has a pilot assembly and a thermocouple just as the other style does. However, you don't need a lighter because again, the third prong is your igniter. We start the same way we did before. Make sure your gas is turned on. You can light one of the stovetop burners if you wish. Instead of your oven dial reading pilot, it will usually have a flame icon. You'll want to turn the dial to the flame icon and press it in just like we did on the first oven, and you're going to want to hold that in for about 15 to 30 seconds. Turn your dial igniter, the same one that you use to light your stovetop burners, to light your pilot light inside the oven. And again, give the flame a few seconds to get that thermocouple nice and hot, and then you can go ahead and adjust your dial to your desired oven temperature. The procedures I showed today will apply to most ovens on the road. However, it does not hurt to check your owner's manual either. Just make sure there's no differences or variations to the procedure for your specific oven. Okay, let's cover some safety tips rapid fire. Here we go. You want a blue flame when burning propane. A blue flame means you're getting complete or near complete combustion. A yellow, orange, or red flame means you're not getting enough oxygen to properly burn the gas. And that means more carbon monoxide exposure, which is really bad, especially in a small enclosed area. Yellow, orange, or red flames also burn at lower temperatures, which means your cooking times are going to increase, plus you're wasting gas. But that's not nearly as important as dying, So if you don't have a blue flame, something's wrong and it's probably worth looking into. So there's a couple things that could be happening. Your gas lines or your burner hardware could be misaligned. It could be something wrong with your regulator or an improper connection at one of the fittings. I would start with cleaning your burners. Things like dirt, dust, and grease that build up over time can disrupt proper gas and airflow needed for efficient combustion. Another important thing to understand is that when you're cooking on your stovetop, if you have an exterior hood vent, make sure that it's open. And always have your hood vent fan turned on. Propane is heavier than air. It will sink, it will not rise. And that's why your gas detector is near the floor and not on the ceiling. The hood fan is going to help pull out the byproducts of burned propane, which is water vapor or moisture, and carbon monoxide. Turning on the ceiling vent fans will also help as well. I'd like to thank my friend Jason from How to RV for supplying some footage today. Definitely check him out. I'll put a link to his channel down below. And one more thing, let me know down in the comment section what topics you guys want to see videos on. Thanks again for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see you soon.